gonna wait for you. And I see you're gonna be like, nah, I'm not gonna like it. I'm just keep watching. Just subscribe. And you think the clip gonna cut right here, but it's not, because I'm still waiting for you to click that like button. And to subscribe and the post notification button.
When it comes to talking about anime, my favorite thing to do is always find anime that make you feel something. Because in my opinion, that's something that I value the most. That's the thing that makes me want to talk about anime and find other people who have that same feeling or a different feeling, but just allow for a space where people can talk about their feelings. But this year, I haven't really felt much. Yeah, there've been good anime, but I found myself wanting to feel more. But then I stumbled upon this anime called Takopi's Original Sin. And after watching a couple of episodes of this anime, I firmly believe that this anime could be anime of the year if everything goes the way that it should. But beyond that, I think that this is an anime that can go beyond even the anime world and affect the world itself. But let's just get to the premise. The premise of this anime is rather simple. It's a story in which an alien called Takopi comes to Earth and meets a girl called Shizuka. Now when they meet, Takopi has a mission, in which its mission is to make her happy. But based on some of the things that happen, it's not what you think it might be. And that is basically the premise of this anime without spoiling too much. And I know that at this point you kind of think to yourself, yeah, I'm not gonna watch that whole kiddie anime because it seems like an anime that's just focused on a little alien helping a little girl become happy. But you'd be wrong. Because not only does this anime offer the most profound approach to the most complex question ever, it will leave you feeling the most feelings you could ever feel in the most negative light. Because the essential premise of what Takopi wants to do is so simple. It's just make this little girl happy. But it's so much more difficult than what this alien expected. Because this is the complexity of a human. Essentially, Takopi has this sort of understanding of this little girl. You know, it understands what a human is and certain things that humans do. But it doesn't truly understand her. Because no matter what it does, this little girl just seems like she's not happy or excited by anything, whether it's meeting this little alien or all of the gadgets that it has to offer her that could even allow her to fly. She doesn't care. And as you start to see this alien try to figure out this little girl, it hits you. Because Takopi is a blank canvas. And what I mean by this is that Takopi is the most purest approach to trying to understand someone. It has a textbook understanding, but it doesn't truly understand what makes each and every individual tick. And in this situation, we're able to pick up on why this little girl can't be happy because we notice the signs that she's being bullied and the fact that whenever she goes home, she's all by herself and she seems miserable. But this alien doesn't pick up on it. In fact, they don't even highlight it. It's up to you to pick up on and see what's happening. And with that is such a powerful thing because with Takopi just trying to make this little girl happy, it learns something at the end of the first episode in which this little girl makes a decision that will change her life forever. And Takopi tries its best to make sure she doesn't make that decision ever again. And this brings me to the first spoiler of this anime. I'm gonna spoil a bit from episode 1 and 2, but I'm gonna try and keep it vague. Within episode 1, Takopi learns that the little girl is being bullied, and as such, it kind of comes up with a plan to make her life better. But as her life is getting better, the bully just goes harder on her. And as such, Takopi decides to make a decision where it's going to clone itself and approach the bully and have a normal conversation and see if they can both be friends. But what Takopi learns is that it's not that easy to make friends with someone like that. Because not only is the bully a little girl, the bully does something that Takopi didn't understand. It installs fear within it, to the point that Takopi finally is able to understand what that little girl is going through. This girl is so afraid of this bully, and it's understandable. And as Takopi is going through the exact same experience that this girl can go through, it feels helpless. It can't do anything. In fact, it's afraid. And when you watch this, you really feel that sort of helplessness that comes within that situation. Which brings you to one of the most powerful factors of this anime, It's pretty simple. We always see these sort of things in humanity and think to ourselves, how do you allow yourself to go through something like that? You should fight back, you should do something. But it's never that simple. We've all had our own situations where someone tells you what you should do and how you should act. But we always know within our minds that it's different. And this situation really highlights the uniqueness of what happens. Because within it, finally someone else is within that person's shoes and feels exactly what they're going through. And as such, they're just a victim as that other person. And it's so profoundly powerful because we're watching it and we're finally starting to feel what this little girl goes through, translated through Takopi experiencing it. But within that experience, it becomes extremely profound at the end of episode 2. Because within episode 2, at the end, Takopi finally fights against the bully. In Takopi finally fighting this bully, it ends in a very dark way. And as the music starts to creep in and then the name of the anime shows up, Takopi's original sin, it hits you. You just saw something you weren't supposed to see. In fact, it feels like you were with them in that situation. And as such, you, that little girl, and that little alien know something that no one else should, and you should never speak about it. And when that episode is finally done and that ending music kicks in, that creepy music, you really start to understand what you just witnessed. And it's extremely dark. And this is the power of this anime. It's able to make you feel so much. You can't watch this anime in the morning and expect yourself to have a very positive perspective on life. That's not gonna happen. And this is why I think that this anime can be so special. It's the fact that it's able to offer people a dark human experience in such a pure way that when you watch it, it doesn't matter who you are. You can feel it. Whether something like that is happening with you or happening to someone else, you're still able to feel the mutual feelings that happen. And I think that this is one of the reasons why this anime is so profound. It's the purity and the emotions that it gives you. But besides the surface level approach to what this anime will be for some people, it has a powerful message. And it's through this sadness that I think a lot of people can find empowerment from. Because from watching this anime, I felt something super profound. Now I'm gonna try and make this story extremely short, but the real beginning of me becoming an anime fan was because of an experience in which at school I met a bunch of guys who happened to be anime fans, and at that point I was a surface, I didn't know too many anime, to be real with you. I really liked Naruto. I'd watched a bunch of stuff, but I never really understood it. And they gave me a bunch of anime to watch in a hard drive. Within that hard drive was an anime called Tokyo Ghoul. And little did I know that that anime would change my life. Because there was a reason as to why I met those individuals. In fact, it was pretty late at night at school. The thing is, I had recently started going to school at Wits, Johannesburg, and I was staying with my sister. And to kind of make a long story short, she's not the biggest fan of me. And as such, the sort of home that I stayed in was not really a home. And I used to spend a lot of my time at school because I didn't want to go home. When my friends wanted to separate, I always used to try and drag things. And as I went through a lot of experiences, I started to realize that I was really sad. I hated going home. I used to go to my room, and in fact, I used to have this habit where I would play things on my laptop, and I would then switch off the lights and then turn the other way and start crying. Mainly because I felt like I had no one. It felt like my sister wished the worst for me, and I had all these expectations from my family to do well at school. I had no one to go to. Even my newly acquired friends at school, I didn't feel confident enough to confide in them. But funny enough, they were able to confide in me, and I always had the answers. But deep down in my soul, I wish I was available for myself, but I never was. And at that point, I started to hate anime. I hated Naruto. I hated the fact that he was so optimistic and he never gave up and he was able to fight through any situation he went through. Because in my eyes, I couldn't fight through my situation. How do you fight for someone to care for you? How do you fight for someone to support you? I couldn't do anything. But it was within watching Tokyo Ghoul where I saw this individual struggling to find a world that he could fit in, where I was finally able to relate to someone, and it opened up my eyes. Because after I was done watching Tokyo Ghoul, I had a choice. I could just suffer and kind of accept the despair. Or maybe I could look at that sort of situation and start to understand and process my own feelings. And when I was finally able to process my own feelings, I was able to grow as a person. And this sad anime allowed me to view happiness and motivation that I started to hate in a different way. I started to look at characters like Naruto differently because I realized they also went through hard things. But the problem is, when I was watching it, I still hadn't went through that sort of suffering or pain to really connect to them as characters. They were just these happy individuals. But then when I was finally able to connect with them, the strength that they have as characters to persevere, to push, helped me. Because then I found my own sense of motivation as to why I should be here and why I should carry on and why I shouldn't let those circumstances affect me and I should fight. And ultimately, that changed my life. A sad anime helped me find hope. And this is the reason as to why I think this anime is so powerful. It's because of the fact that it's allowing people to experience things that we try to normalize. Everyone wants to act like they're happy, but how many people actually are? When we're younger, we're so pure. We wear our emotions on our sleeve, but as time passes, we're taught to hide it, to act different. Don't cry, don't be upset, don't show people weakness. And as such, we bottle in these feelings. And sometimes for some people, that is the reason why they make certain choices. With an anime like this, where we're able to view something neutrally and feel it and understand it, I think that it can allow people to finally see that some of the things that we act like are normal or that we bottle in are things that we shouldn't. Why does a little girl in an anime feel like she has to make such a decision at such a young age? It's simple. Her life is terrible. She doesn't have happiness. She's just struggling to maintain hope, let alone actually feel happiness. And when your life is so bad like that, you become afraid of happiness because you fear that something could just take it away. And this anime actually shows it. And for me, I think if you have an anime like that, it can teach so many of us such a powerful lesson about humanity. The goal of this alien is so simple. It's happiness. But if you ask yourself, how do you get to happiness? It's more trickier than what you think. The world always has these sort of answers as to how you become happy. Get money, have friends, have this. But we see people with all of those things not be happy. It's a bigger ask than what we actually try to do. In fact, I think we downplay the power of happiness to just try and act like it's achievable when it's actually closer to perfection than people would want to admit. And this is what this anime can do. I think it can change a lot of perspectives. I think it can show us so much more. And even though people will view it as this anime that's just obsessed with despair and people who perceive themselves as intellectuals will be drawn to it and you don't get it, blah blah blah. It's an anime for everyone. And that's why I think that this anime is so special. The fact that the opening is so happy-go-lucky, but the entire story is far from it. It basically almost replicates the idea of life at times. You try to be optimistic, but life keeps getting at you, and by the end, you're sad. That is sort of a metaphorical approach to the opening, story, and ending every single time you watch an episode. This is the most profound anime that I've watched in a minute. And this is why I think a lot of people should give this anime a chance. Because I truly believe that this sort of anime can make a difference. And at times like this, it's needed given what's going on within the world. So I hope that this anime becomes super successful. I hope that it reaches a bunch of people who need it. Because I truly think that if the world watched something like this, the world would truly be a happier place.